Hey guys, happy full moon in Aries. Or the full blood moon, because it's the moon before Samhain, the full moon before Samhain. I've just been sitting here hanging out in my pajamas because what else do you do on a Sunday night, I guess? And I realized that my little break from YouTube had kind of gone longer than I intended, but there are some things that had occurred over this last week that sort of hindered that. And one was I got this little minor cold, and I just, on top of that, ended up having a really busy week, and so my energy has just been. But the other thing is that I actually ended up getting some pretty tragic news this week. I won't go into too much detail, but a friend of mine from high school passed away, so I've been kind of going through the motions on that one. And it's been rough. Really rough. But I'm not gonna get too much into that. But it does kind of, hinder me honestly wanting to make videos, because I have been dealing with it and doing what you need to do when you grieve. But it also has me focus a lot on Samhain and this season, and how for me my sensitivity tends to heighten between late August through about winter solstice, and I tend to feel more amped up or empowered spiritually, but I tend to sense things on an even stronger level as well, and it's been exhausting, honestly. If I'm really completely honest, it's been exhausting, but it also is very challenging, and it opens up a lot. This video, by the way, is not really going to have much in the way of a set topic. It's going to be a little bit of a ramble, which we'll just call another one of my Nightowl rambles, because let's face it. So, yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this season and the veil, and how I feel a lot more, and I suppose I could get more into that, but I kind of want to give an example of something that occurred. See, for me, most of my spiritual messages tend to come through my dreams. My dreams tend to get more vivid around particularly a lunar eclipse, but also the full moon, especially if the full moon's in a water sign, because I'm a Cancerian moon, so if you know anything about astrology, you'll know that. But it's been really hard to talk about this sensitivity and this ever growing, I don't want to say the word psychic, because I don't really like using that word. I worry that if I use that word, then it takes away the legitimacy of the things that I am experiencing. And I worry that I won't be taken seriously. And I know that I won't. I know that I won't from some people, because there are many people in this world that simply don't believe in it. And that's okay. They're not meant to. But for me, I think that there's a lot more. And I always have. And my experiences have become even stronger over the last few years, to the point where I realized how much I was ignoring this part of myself until basically the universe was screaming at me in the face. So, to give an example, the example that I was going to get into before I kind of jumped 3 steps ahead was, if you guys remember on my YouTube or my 30-day challenge that I just completed, one of the videos I had a really good friend of mine on here, and he talked about his podcast, and we kind of discussed in there Anoka, Minnesota. Well, last night we ended up going and doing the walking ghost tour around Anoka, and it was really, really fun. And it's historical, but you know, they tell you ghost stories and stuff too, and I won't really get into that, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I love this kind of stuff because I just love history, but I also love learning about ghost stories. It's, you know. So anyway, as we're walking around, it was chilly last night, and so I had on a coat, and I had a big hood up, but I also was wearing like a beanie. And as we were walking around, I felt something tug at the back of my head, and here I'm sitting here thinking like, oh, it's my friend just teasing me. So I look over at him, and he's not doing anything except for walking next to me. And then I was like, maybe I hit a branch and there's no tree around me. And I'm like, oh, maybe someone in the tour group is right behind me and they're trying to get my attention or something. There's no one behind us. And I'm thinking, okay, don't say anything. Why, though? Why not? So I didn't say anything. I kept it to myself, and I could have told him, and he would have trusted my experience. He would have trusted what I told him was what my perception of what I was experiencing. And I didn't tell him until today, and then he's like, well, why didn't you say something? I was scared to, frankly, scared to. And I don't want to feel that way anymore, but I think that a part of me always will. So, yeah. And every time that I have an experience in my life where I lose someone, it seems like this just gets stronger. And over the last few years, I have lost 3 people. So, 3 people since 2017. It's 1 person a year. And yeah, it's strange. Each time something like this happens, it seems to change things for me. On this sense, obviously that changes so much because that's what that process is. But I don't know. I've been afraid to talk about it because it's strange. But let's face it, I'm strange. You're strange. We're all strange. So with that aside, I'm gonna get into like the lighter topics that I kind of wanted to talk about, which is just some fun stuff. It had just dawned on me that I had actually recorded my video of setting up my Samhain altar, and then I never published it. So I'm gonna have to get that up for you guys. Sorry about that. It's been a weird start to October. October's been a weird month. But I have been putting my energy into a lot of introspection, for sure, as you guys can clearly tell, and creativity. First things first is I decided to edge some decks. I've been working on that the last week or so. Now, bear in mind that these still could probably use a bit of a touch-up, as you can see, but this is just like the base coat. There's cat hair, always cat hair. This is the Star Tarot, and I edged it in its kind of like matching blue, so did that. And then this is also a deck that I trimmed, for those who don't know, because the Star Tarot actually has like really big borders, and most people who get the deck end up trimming it. But if you're into deck modification, I'm not heavily, but there are some decks that I do choose to modify just because I feel like I will connect better with it if I do, or there's certain things about it that I just, yeah, but I've only trimmed and edged decks. I don't think I would do much else, but I trimmed, this is the first deck that I trimmed. This is the Crystal Visions, and I finally edged it in purple. So, of course, another cat hair, always with the cat hairs. So, yeah, I really like how that turned out too. Like I said, obviously I still have to do some touch-ups, but I'm satisfied with them. And then I am working on edging this deck. This is Tarot of the Trees, which, if you guys have not heard of this deck, it's incredible. I plan on doing a review on this eventually. But yeah, I'm in the process of edging it because it's got black borders, so doing that. It's a slow process. Before I started edging these decks, I used to sit and I would just be determined to trim or edge a deck all in one night, all in one go, and now I'm like, it's a slow process. Being more patient with myself. The other thing I decided to leisurely learn, mind you, is lenormand. I've heard a lot of buzz about it, and I was curious, and my good friend Heather had actually shown me a few months back, I think a few months back now, this deck, which is called Pixie's Astounding Lenormand, and it's a tribute to Pamela Coleman Smith, who did the artwork for the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I actually read that this is a really great one if you are coming from a tarot background and you're trying to step into Lenormand, because it's pretty different. Tarot is rather esoteric and deep, whereas Lenormand is a little bit more simplistic and literal, from my understanding. I'm not an expert, trust me guys, still learning. In fact, I haven't even done a reading with these cards yet, so this is just my base knowledge. But yeah, I thought this would be a good stepping stone, and I thought it'd be fun to learn. I've also been reading more about tea leaf reading with my cup of destiny. And I do plan on sharing that and doing a video on tea leaf reading with you guys, and kind of just what I've learned, and then giving myself a reading on camera. I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to do that, but the other thing I really want to do before Samhain is kind of walk you guys through my altar, because recently I changed things up, even from when I filmed my time-lapse video, which, you know, I tinker with my altars all the time. I've set them up very intuitively. I usually go into it having no idea what I'm going to do, and then just kind of go with the flow. So, yeah. I hope to film that. I want to film that after I publish the time-lapse for the Samhain altar. So I gotta get my butt in gear. I'm sorry guys. I really had intended on filming last weekend, and then it just kind of didn't happen, and then I got sick a little bit, and my week was just so insanely busy. And, you know, then there was this other stuff that happened. So yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind October, and my card of the month is the Four of Wands. I gotta be honest, I have absolutely no idea how that's gonna come into play, because right now it does not feel like the Four of Wands. It feels like the Tower. We'll see though. We'll see. So that's it for tonight's video. I just wanted to pop in, say hey, and tell you guys what I've been up to, and, you know, my plans for everything else going forward, and hopefully I'll get more videos out there that are more Samhain-y, because this is my favorite time of the year. I'm really excited about it. It's just, there's a lot that's been going on, and it all kind of hit me unexpectedly. So yeah, thanks for being patient with me, guys. I know it's probably weird going from seeing my face every day to about 2 weeks of silence. That was, like I said, completely unintentional, but hey. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and blessed be.